Happy Tuesday, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the morning show right here on the brand new Main Street TV. And Jennifer here, of course, we appreciate you tuning in so much. And we are here, as always, with our good friend Pete Wilson to start off the morning news update. And Pete is here with bells on this morning, I heard.
Okay, I didn't hear them coming up. They must have
Oh,
fallen off on the way.
must have been hearing things again, Pete.
Oh, that's okay. You're too young to start hearing things.
But our morning news update brought to you by Nia Henry, agent for Appalachia Realty. If you're looking to buy or sell, give Nia a call, please, at 740-418-4135. Or you just have any real estate questions or needs for that matter, she'll be out working for you. All right, Pete, what is going on in the news?
Okay, well, we have a number of things to throw at you, and then maybe more good news than bad news. So
Hey, we like that.
we're always glad to do that. But on the COVID-19 front, the news mostly good, not all good. From the Jackson County Health Department, we had a new report issued yesterday, and James. Johnny on the spot with the infographic there that kind of gives you a lot of information at a glance. But the good news part of it is 24 new confirmed cases, but that is over a 7-day period. So, you're talking about a little over 3 cases per day, which if you remember, the last report we had, it was 3 cases per day. That's when we were really bragging up the way we were going. So this is kind of backs that up a little bit. So very good numbers. Once again, 24 new confirmed cases over a 7-day period through Sunday. All right. However, there were 2 new COVID-related deaths, unfortunately. That drives our total up to 55 total deaths. Still, the number of deaths down quite a bit from when they spiked up late in December and then into January. January, of course, was our worst month. And then it began to come down in February, definite trend. And as we head into March, the news is even better. And of course, with the vaccinations happening, we hope that we're on the road to recovery or herd immunity or whatever you call it.
Yes.
It's herd humanity too, though, isn't it?
I would hope so.
That's what we hope so. So anyway, we are definitely heading that direction, it would seem. So we will hope.
Yes.
I'm not Dr. Fauci, but the numbers look good. Okay.
Well, we'll pretend like we are for a minute.
Oh, all right. And they say different things anyway, so.
They do.
All right. So in Vinton County, we had one more report from them, and there is the report from Vinton County. Vinton County had 3 straight days where they had no new cases. They had 1 new one in this latest report. So still 4 days, 1 new case. Very good news from Vinton County as well. On the state level, Governor Mike DeWine had another press conference yesterday and had new and important information about the vaccine rollout. We've had phase 1A. I'm not sure we're done with phase 1B, but we're towards the end of it. He has announced phase 1C, and we're talking about the eligibility for the vaccine. There are a number of groups that are involved in who will get the next vaccines, and there is the infographic for that. You will be able to see that in our paper. That we're going to print that in our Wednesday paper. We'll have it online as well, and we will have it, on Facebook. Also, there it is right there here on your TV screens. You can also go to the Ohio Department of Health special website for COVID-19 information and see this and other graphics. Make it the illustrations very attractive to look at it through a glance, through a summary of the most important information. But as far as who will be able to get the vaccine, it will involve the following groups. Medical groups, meaning people with certain medical conditions. That includes diabetes, pregnant women, bone marrow transplant recipients, people with ALS. Then there's people who have certain occupations who are going to be next in line as well in phase 1C. That includes administrators, lead and assistant teachers and substitutes, licensing specialists, etc. People with job and family services who work with the public, they're included. Also included is funeral service people, embalmers, morticians, funeral home directors. This is a small subset of people, but boy, do they have exposure to a lot of the public by the nature of their jobs. And I know Michael Williams with the R.M. Williams Funeral Home in Wellston, he was concerned about when the funeral folks would be in line feeling like they're a special category as far as the need goes
For
to be.
sure.
And so it is going to happen for them. I know he'll be glad to hear that. And I'm sure his other colleagues in the profession feel the same way. And the other group will be law enforcement and correction officers. We're talking about 76,000 Ohioans. And there has been a lot of talk about the need for this as well. Of course, law enforcement, firefighters, correction officers, obviously, they have exposure to people and they can't get away with that. And, through this whole thing, even though they've tried to be careful, our law enforcement officers, not just the EMS and the hospital people, but the law enforcement officers, the correction officers, they have had to be out on the front lines as well. And so they will be in line as well. Because of the risk of more severe reactions and outcomes, COVID-19 threats, of course, increase with age. Phase 2 will open vaccinations based on age, beginning with ages 60 and older. That will be the next group after Phase 1C. That will begin Phase 2. Remember, Phase 1B included all those people in the elderly group, ages 65 and up, started with 80 and older, and then, a different group each week. So there is a rhyme or reason to how they're doing this, and they'll get to you one day, Jennifer, you youngsters. All right. Another good news story, and man, we want you to check out our news coverage on this on Total Media, and we're talking about the good things that have happened that a lot of people probably don't know about at Buckeye Construction and Restoration in Wellston. That is a business on South Michigan Avenue. There is one of the founding partners, Bob Brown. We interviewed him for a big story that we're going to roll out in Wednesday's print edition of the paper. Already we have a video. I believe it's both on the Telegram Facebook and also the Total Media Facebook. James Hamilton did this in conjunction with our associate Phil Buffington, who covered it on the newspaper side. It's a wonderful video with a succinct, concise report about 6 minutes long that tells you the success story of BCR. And this is another, Jennifer, you're an entrepreneur type girl. This is another example to show you that it can be done here in Jackson County. And this is a success story that, really to me is more of a regional and statewide story. That's how big it is. It started back in 2013 with one employee, and then another man jumped in as another partner. Now they hope to be up to 75 employees sometime this year. And their sales growth has been exponential. That's the word that you use on that. Commissioner Paul Haller called it the hidden gem of Wellston and Jackson County. There is the group of public officials that were there last Tuesday after the commissioners meeting. They did this to make a statement. They did this to give BCR credit for what it has done in Wellston and Jackson County, but also to let the public know. The Jackson County Economic Development Partnership Executive Director Sam Brady kind of led the way on that. He's very good at shining the light on the good things that are happening in Jackson County. And Sam is there. The county commissioners are there. Mayor Charlie Hudson of Wellston, Jackson Mayor Randy Evans is there. They all knew about this place, and now they know more about it, and the public is getting to know more about it. And we are helping to do that, I hope, with the coverage that we have coming. And I've just scraped the top of the iceberg on this. Tomorrow, if we have Phil Buffington up here, of course, he researched the story. He'll be able to talk more about it. And I think that maybe James may even show at least a portion of the video tomorrow as well. And, of course, we'll have that story in our print edition of the paper. You will also be able to see that online. But a really big success story in Jackson County. Not an earthquake, not a flood,
Right.
not a double murder,
a
but
good
still
thing. Yes.
a big story.
Yeah, I think people will be pleasantly surprised when they find out what these guys are doing there in Wellston.
That's right.
They work basically all over the place, but
right, and
based out of Wellston.
As far as
amazing work.
Well, okay, Buckeye Construction and Restoration. I didn't even know what it was for sure. Somebody asked me, and I said, "Well, they do construction and restoration." That was my smart aleck answer. But they are a commercial contractor providing masonry restoration, concrete restoration, and waterproofing. And it is indeed
Correct.
one of the fastest growing companies in Southeastern Ohio. And that's just not a line for advertising. It's the truth.
I think if you travel up Main Street, Pete, to the building that we're working on, you might find some of those guys up there.
Okay, well, you know about them, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, smart girl. She knows who to work with.
That's right.
All right.
Some big scaffolding and some scary looking equipment.
Okay. Well,
And I'm glad they're doing it, not me.
right, exactly. Well, I think they know what they're doing.
They definitely know what they're doing.
All right. Well, we just found this out yesterday, and this is a big thing in Jackson County, and especially in Jackson. There is going to be an Apple Festival Queens contest, and it's going to take place at the regular time. They always have the Apple Festival Queens contest on Easter weekend down at Jackson Middle School. So, you know,
Correct.
there was a number of questions in doubt this year. Remember, no Apple Festival in 2020, and there was no Apple Festival royalty. They actually had started the process of getting the applications, and then in the period where they were accepting applications, the pandemic kicked in, and they could have no contest, and then it ended up they had no festival because, of course, things got worse. But Ryan Shoemaker, who is the former Apple Festival president and now the contest chairman, announced that applications are open for the Apple Festival contestants. They can be young ladies from Jackson County. I'll be more specific here in just a minute. But they have to apply no later than Sunday, March the 7th. That's a short period.
Oh, man.
But they've got a week to do it. We'll have some publicity out in the paper and online very soon. But
Get on it, girls.
yes, they can. And the eligibility is anyone, any Jackson County girl in grades 10 or 11. And, you know, it's just not Jackson. It's Jackson High School, Wellston High School, Oak Hill High School. Any girl in the 10th or 11th grade. And also, this is a nice thing, I think. Any of those girls who registered last year and may be over the grade requirement. So if they wanted to be Apple Festival Queen last year, they're still going to get their shot.
That's so good, Pete.
Right. However, they do have to
Love that.
re-register. You're not automatically in there because they can't assume that you would want to run again this year.
Sure.
So those girls are going to get a chance too if that was something, you know, that they were shooting for or dreaming of.
That's fantastic.
Right. But the contest is that Easter weekend on Saturday, April 3rd, the day before Easter, 7 o'clock. And the big question was, it's going to be in the Jackson Middle School auditorium. You know, their school's not having a whole lot of events inside, restricted attendance. The school officials have given them the go-ahead to have the contest, but it is going to be very limited attendance. It'll be a ticketed event. This is the way it's shaping up right now, a ticketed event with just immediate family members there. They'll be able to determine what exactly they can allow when they see how many contestants there are. Because, you know, you want to have at least your parents, and then they'll look at the numbers and see how many people they think they can safely have in there. Maybe some things will evolve with what the rules are. Governor DeWine has already loosened the restrictions a little bit to like 25% capacity. So, you know, we'll just have to, there'll be some numbers crunching done after the applications are in. But if you want to be the Apple Festival Queen, you have to be in grades 10 or 11 or have been one of the girls who registered last year, who may be, you know, in 12th grade now. You have to turn in your application between 3 and 4 p.m. at the Jackson Apple Festival building at 521 McCarty Lane. That's right there across from where you go into Walmart. You can get applications at Andrea's right here in downtown Jackson or at any of the 3 high schools.
What about the Little Queen contest?
That is a great question. No information put out on this, but this is what Ryan told me. They're definitely going to do it, but they're going to back up the time a little bit.
Okay.
You know, sometimes, Jen, they've had 70, 80 girls try out for that.
I've seen upwards of 90
It can be, obviously,
girls.
that's going to draw a little bit more of a crowd and
Yes.
interest. And with the little girls, you really want everybody there, grandmas and all
They
that.
need the support.
Right. So
yes.
I think they've made a good tentative decision. This is what Ryan was willing to tell me at this point, because obviously people are going to wanting to know about that. They're going to have it later.
Okay.
They're going to work with time because the festival is not until September anyway.
Correct.
And they may do it a little bit differently so more people can attend. Maybe
Okay.
even outdoors.
Maybe outdoors or something.
So, you know, I mean, they can wait, you know, several months if they have to.
Okay.
So,
that sounds great.
When decisions are made, as they see how circumstances evolve with COVID-19 and with the Big Queens contest, we'll certainly let you know on that. But yes, they are planning on doing the Little Queens too. It's just going to have to be put on hold for right now.
Hey, Jen, were
Yes.
you ever a festival queen or anything like that? Are we going to have to go dig up some old pictures?
Oh, there's pictures. I was the Jackson County Fair horse queen.
All hail the horse queen.
Okay, in this case, I can say
I
this
can't
much.
make it up, so you know it's true.
Jen could have got the horse queen on beauty and brains, but also because of horsemanship, because I know she can ride.
Thanks, Pete. Oh yes, and I have to admit this in front of God, man, and everyone, our international crowd. I was the worst queen ever. I didn't go to any parades. I didn't do anything. I was the worst. I was too busy horsing around.
Okay, all right. I said somehow I heard that coming. All right, but
Yeah.
anyway, so it does appear that not only will there be an apple
No, that's
festival in
fantastic
September,
news.
but there's going to be the Queen's Contest,
Yep.
and it's going to be different. But they're going to roll it out on that weekend. There will be no Little Queen's Contest on that Friday before. That's always how they do it. But circumstances alters cases, of course.
Well, and the good news is, I mean, with technology now, even if they do the contest virtually, they have the technology now to just get it out on the internet or whatever, and people can still watch it even if they can't be there in person.
Right, I'm sure.
So that's cool.
Ryan never said anything about virtual, but I'm sure that's one of the things they were thinking about
I would
as we
have to
approach
think
this. But with things improving, and then they talked with Phil Howard, the superintendent of the Jackson City Schools. They
Yes.
decided they can do a limited thing live and in person.
Hey, anything we can do to get a little bit of normalcy in our lives is great, Pete.
Right. Well, we're moving that direction.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll take it.
All right. Well, a sad note in the news. We heard about this yesterday. We're going to pass it along. Don Walton, age 81, a longtime Wellston resident. A lot of folks knew Don, especially in the Wellston area. He died on Sunday, and he had a long career in local education. He, at one time, was the superintendent of Hope Haven School here in Jackson. At one point, he was a Wellston High School teacher, much revered. And he also was one time the president of the Wellston City Board of Education, had a lifelong interest in education and in the community. Outside of the community, he was well thought of enough to be to hold the title of superintendent of the Hocking County MRDD program, and he was principal of the Pioneer School, which is over in Chillicothe. In the community, he was very active in such organizations as the Hope United Methodist Church, that's in Wellston, the Wellston Lions Club, the Ohilco Society, and the United Way of Jackson County. From my long career in journalism, knew Don. He was very serious about education and his role in it, and making sure that the services that were provided to our children were the best that they could be. He landed in the right place, I'll just tell you that. And so, we are sorry. We express our condolences to his family. His family, by the way, includes well-known man, John Kerry, who happens to be his son-in-law, the former mayor of Wellston, and of course he's been very active in state government. So Mr. Walton's funeral arrangements are going to be handled by the McWilliams Funeral Home of Wellston. Private funeral services, no calling hours, but if you want to show respect to Don and his family, I know that they would appreciate memorial contributions being given in his memory to either Heartland Hospice in Jackson, the Hope United Methodist Church in Wellston, or the Jackson County Area Ministries here in Jackson. All right, Jen, the Jackson County Commissioners are meeting this morning. Our Phil Buffington is over there taking it all in. And we'll find out later why he's coming, whether it's just, a token appearance to say hi or something else going on. But the Treasurer of the state of Ohio is scheduled to be there. His name is Robert Sprague. So he is making the rounds in the area, and he will be at the commissioner's office later today. One note from the commissioner's office last week that we wanted to tell you was that Lori Baldridge, who is the regional liaison for the Ohio Secretary of State, that's Frank LaRose, she was there and gave some information in general about the Secretary of State, about the election in general, and even some Jackson County information. She mentioned that as far as Jackson County goes, that there was a 71% voter participation rate in Jackson County, and that 58%, there was a 58.6% of the ballots were cast in person and absentee. So I had no idea it was that high. So 71% turnout, that's really high, and 58.6% were early in-person or absentee voting. Did you have any idea that it was that much? We
Wow.
knew it was up,
That's a
but
lot.
that is a lot, right? And that's the way it looks like it's going. In 2016, that was the last presidential election. The voting by absentee and in advance was only 33%. So you can see what a big difference that was.
Although we were minus a pandemic back then.
Right, we were, and of course there was a big effort, I think, all the way around to get the vote out on both sides in a hotly contested presidential election. Speaking of the Board of Elections, Paul Haller said, yes, they are still planning to move the Board of Elections office at some time. They said recently that it's going to take a little bit more time because of meeting state regulations. However, they hope that it can still be done as early as June, and sometime this month, the commissioners hope to announce the details of where the Board of Elections will be moving. Okay, on the basketball scene, tonight is a big night for the Vinton County Lady Vikings. They're in that regional tournament at Zanesville. Long drive up there, but everybody who is allowed to go for Vinton County, I know, will go. Feel so sorry because they have such a great following, and most people will not be able to go because of the restrictions. But however, you can hear it on the radio. You can get it through our Total Media radio app, which more and more people are doing. So you can, listen to it online through the app. It'll be the Vinton County girls only once beaten against the Dresden Tri-Valley Scotties, Lady Scotties, also only once beaten. That will be at 8 p.m. tonight on WYRO. Broadcast time about 7:45 p.m. Jeff Thacker will be up there in Zanesville. That'll be the second game after a game between Wintersville, Indian Creek, and Thornville Sheridan. The two winners will then meet for the regional championship. We're in the Sweet 16, Jen. So if Vinton County is fortunate enough to win, and they're playing a great team tonight.
That's pretty impressive.
But if they're fortunate enough to win, they go to the Elite Eight. And you know what happens if they win that game?
The Final Four.
The Final Four. And this year it's in Dayton.
Ooh-wee.
A little bit different because it was supposed to be at the St. John's Arena in Columbus, but Franklin County has had, a lot of COVID in the past, they just will not allow the crowds that apparently will be allowed at the Dayton Arena.
Well,
so to allow more people to go, that's how they're going to do it. It's going to be in Dayton. But hopefully we'll have to talk about that a little bit later if Vinton County can somehow win 2 more games. Doesn't matter what happens tonight. They have had a truly great season. We congratulate Coach Rod Bentley and his very, very talented girls team.
I feel like we all should become Lady Vikings today in spirit. How's
that? Right. We should. I should have had my maroon shirt on.
Yeah.
It has holes in the sleeves now, so I would have hid them from you. But I used to.
As long as it isn't
I used to wear that on a big day for Vinton County or when I went up there to cover a meeting. But anyway, on Thursday, of course, the Vinton County girls are not the only local team still in the running. The Jackson boys, they're a week behind the girls. They're not as far along, but the Jackson boys have won the sectional tournament. They will be in the district semifinal this Thursday, once again against the Gallia Academy Blue Devils. And that game is right here at Jackson.
Yes, it is.
You're not going to get that very often. That is another pandemic
Super
result.
Exciting.
Exactly. Yeah. And that game will be at 7 p.m. on Thursday evening. And, of course, the broadcast crew from Jackson County Broadcasting will be there to bring that game as well. So, very exciting there. We also want to report that the Jackson City Library has received a grant from General Mills, and this will help them with the technology thing that have become very important these days. You know that the internet service is not all around the county in all spots. We have dead spots. People haven't been able to go to the library as much as recently because of the pandemic and the restrictions. It is starting to open back up again, but there are a limited number of computers in there as well. So the big thing now for a lot of the libraries is Wi-Fi hotspots. Schools are doing this too. This grant from General Mills will allow the Jackson City Library to extend the devices that it has for that you can use Wi-Fi hotspots. That is a picture up there on our screens of April Eifler. She is the Access Services Coordinator for the Jackson City Library, holding one of those Wi-Fi hotspot devices. They're very small. They lend them out kind of like books, and they're going to get more of them now, and Chromebooks too, to help increase access to technology from our Jackson City Library. Our library director here in Jackson, Roger Donaldson, understands that this now is a new thing that the library has to get more and more into to extend its services, and they are doing that. All right. Last, and I hope not least, I want to mention the success that the Telegram had in the Osmond C. Hooper newspaper show. It was held virtually last Friday, Jen, and we knew we had done pretty good, but we did even better than we thought because
y'all rocked it.
Right, some of the awards we knew about ahead of time, but not all of them. We ended up winning 14 awards in a statewide competition. There's a screenshot of some of the different entries that we had to win prizes, but we were in Division B, which is the middle size weekly newspaper. Even though we come out twice a week, we're considered a weekly. There were 14 awards, and we won first places in the following categories. Best News Story, we won first place in in-depth reporting, Best Local Feature, Best Feature Photo, and Best Headline. We had second places for our coronavirus coverage, also through another entry in in-depth reporting, also Best Editorial, Best Sports Coverage, Community Awareness category, and Best Website. We also won third places in original columns and advertising, and I'm telling you, them being downstairs in the middle of all this, this is a team effort. You know, there are some people out in front that people see that go out and get the news and write the news, but there's a lot of people behind the scenes that make it happen. And up at the top, from the ownership, the Stockmeister family, and the people over at Stockmeister Plaza. Then you have Amanda Crabtree, our general manager. You need support from them to be able to do the work we do. They have to be committed to even having a newspaper. You know, it's challenging these days with the economics and then the pandemic on top of that. And then all the people in the shop that make it happen from the start of the process to the end of it. And there's lots of people who don't get their names in the paper and names you don't hear. And even though we're not a big place, there's too many of them to mention, but they all know what they do, and they are all very important, and we certainly appreciate them. This is the most awards we've ever won. I figured it up. We barely got beat out for the Newspaper of the Year award in our category. We have won that. I mean, I like to say this, and not trying to brag, but we're so proud. We've won that award.
You should be proud.
We've won that award 5 years in the past, and we came close this time, but we finished second in our category and 14 awards overall. So we are so proud of that. I want to mention one other lady, and I'm going to ask everybody in the I've already asked you two, James and Jen. I'm also going to ask everybody in the TV audience not to say that I've said this, or I can get in trouble at home. But there is a young lady who retired from Total Media and the Telegram last Friday. Her name is Pam Wilson.
That's
Full disclosure, she happens to be my wife, but she has also been, for many of the years that I've been in newspapers, she's been my right arm. And we called her title editorial assistant. That's what she liked. We could have given her a more highfalutin title, but she does a lot behind the scenes to make it work. She writes stories, but never wants to have a byline on the things that she writes. But she just does a lot of things to make my job easier. And on Friday, it happened to be her last day, which was appropriate because that was the day that the Hooper Awards were announced, and she is the one who coordinates all that material. Part of it is doing the work, Jennifer, but the second part that you don't know about is all the compilation and computer work you have to do to submit entries. The harder you work at that, the better chance you have, and our success has a whole lot to do with what she's done behind the scenes. And I hope I would say that, whether she's my wife or not, but she really has done a great job. She started in newspapers in her senior year in high school in 1978, and has pretty much stayed in the business the whole way in some different roles, but mostly on the newspaper editorial side. And she has decided after all those years that she'd like to take a step back. Yeah. So somehow I'm trying to hang in there without her, and I'm finding it difficult, but I do wish her a happy retirement. And for once, I wanted to have her acknowledged, but please don't say that I did it. Don't tell her.
Your secret is safe with us, Pete, and we will say that we put you up to it. How's that?
Okay, and I want to tell you this. The great part of this, even though we hate to lose Pam, is that Judy Duncan, who used to teach in the Jackson City schools and had some other jobs in the community. A lot of people know her. We were fortunate enough to get her for Pam's position. She won't do exactly the same thing that Pam did, but she'll do a lot of the same things, plus some other things as well in our company. And I am so delighted with what she has been able to do in just the few days that she's been with us. So I feel like that I'm in great hands, because she will be very important to our newspaper. And once again, it will be kind of a behind-the-scenes role. So
That's
I
right.
wanted to welcome her to Total
Welcome,
Media
Judy.
and to the Telegram.
That's right. And Pam, a well-deserved break for a fantastic lady.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. She'll appreciate that. And
So
with
true.
that, I'm going to go downstairs. We have a lot to do to get out Wednesday's paper. We'll have a lot in there. We'll have some flooding stories and
Ooh.
pictures. We've got all that
Yeah.
about Buckeye construction and restoration. The update on the COVID, of course, which is mostly good news, and a lot of other things as well, provided I can get down there and do some more work.
All right, well, get to it, Pete.
All right, and thank you very much.
Thank you. We appreciate you, Pete. And of course, Pete's Morning News Update brought to you by Nia Henry, agent for Appalachia Realty. If you are looking to buy or sell or have any real estate needs, give Nia a call, 740-418-4135, and she'll be out working for you. And I did just want to take this opportunity to once again congratulate Pam on her retirement, because she has certainly been the right-hand woman for many, many years, and has never asked for any credit whatsoever, but has done quite a bit, to say the least, for news around our area. All right, let's head on out to the Total Media Radio weather forecast, where you can, don't forget, download the Total Media Radio app and get live local radio on your phone at the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. So whichever phone you have, you can download that and have live local radio right at your fingertips. All right, for today, the good news is sunshine in the forecast. The other good news, highs around 44. The bad news, wind chills today. Now get this, as low as 16 degrees. Ick. That wind yesterday was nasty too. For tonight, clear skies, and when you have those clear skies, that means that temperature falls down just a bit, down to 24 overnight tonight. On Wednesday, some sunshine in the forecast again. Highs tomorrow, though, around 56 degrees. So if we can make it through today and that pesky wind chill, we should have a pretty fair day tomorrow on Wednesday. We'll take it. All right, our good friend John Boy is in the house. What's going on?
Hey, when you have good weather, you never mention my old weather window, and now when it's crappy weather, you always blame it on my weather window.
I know,
What's
you're
the deal?
Well, you know, listen. We always want what we can't have, John.
That's right, it's true.
I think we should make that a regular segment where we have like 2 minutes every day. We just John sticking his head out the window,
Out the weather window.
seeing what's happening out there.
See, everybody's laughing, but they don't remember. See, when I started radio, I went to work in a covered wagon, and we used to have to do that. I mean, we had a thermometer.
Yeah, you didn't have like the internet.
I mean, we had a thermometer, and it was hanging outside the window.
You mean
And
you didn't have a Doppler radar on that trailer that you guys
no
used to?
Doppler
You
radar.
had a Doppler radar.
When I was working, you had it was the look out the weather and one of those kind of meteorological instruments, and but we would look out the window and we got our weather forecast. Literally, we had it depended on. We had both UPI and AP, which was the Associated Press.
Sure.
We had those old ticker tape machines.
Yes.
That would roll out the news and the weather, and you do what they call rip and read. You'd always forget, and then about 15 seconds left in your song, you remembered all the weather, and you're all the way back to rip it off, or come back and whew, here's the weather.
Oh yes.
Lou and I can tell you some stories. I remember the time that I was reading the news and I didn't have time to. You're supposed to, if you go get it at the right time, you can look through it, rip off. I mean, because there was one contiguous
Yes.
piece of paper that came out, and So your newscast could be somewhere in about 25 to 60 feet worth of paper, okay? One piece of paper. And you would take it and rip off the parts you want to read it.
Sure.
But every once in a while, when things weren't going the way they should, or, maybe you had a long night and were dozing between songs, you'd remember you had to have the news, so you'd run in there and you just rip off the whole thing. And it would be hanging over the broadcast console, and you'd be, of course, they couldn't see you. You'd be shifting through it and reading, what was there.
No, but I'm sure they could hear this.
Oh yeah, you get plenty of that. And then I remember one time a guy's name was Dave Genoviak. He called himself Dave KJ at KOV.
Oh.
And I'm doing this, and he crawled. I couldn't see him, and hands at his knees and took a cigarette lighter and lit the end of my paper. And then, of course, being the dedicated employee I was, instead of dropping it and screaming, I was just pushing as fast as I could to read as much as I could before it all caught on fire. So anyway,
sick and twisted.
That's an old radio story.
There's a few of those out there lingering around.
Oh man. Oh, by the way, happy National Banana Cream Pie Day.
Yes, let's celebrate.
Let's do it.
I'm there.
Unless you have the Three Stooges coming over your house,
Right.
But cream pies are cool. I mean, lemon meringue pie, banana cream pie.
There's just not anything cooler than to see meringue being made.
I know.
It's like it's an egg, and then the next thing you know, it's this big thing. It comes alive.
Wonderful thing. Edible.
So wild.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's also National Old Stuff Day. I celebrate that every day.
I was going to say, should we celebrate ourselves or what?
Actually, old stuff is that stuff that you have in the house that you shouldn't throw away, or as my wife says, what are you going to do with all this crap today? But yeah, it's to celebrate the stuff that you haven't had time or the heart to throw away.
That is so hard, coming up with things to throw and throwing things away.
It is.
It really is.
I'm one of those guys that I see something, I find use for it. Now, I never use it, but I think this will be handy when, if,
For sure.
But anyway, eventually we have one of those terrible days at the Pelletier Hacienda where Connie announces, we're going to do this and clean this out.
It's time.
I know they came out with this thing about how you'd be happier if you only had 98 things. You need to reduce your life down to 98 things. And that way you would have less stress and all that. And I knew that I was in trouble because I had more than 98 things in my junk drawer.
No doubt. I have 98 pairs of shoes. So.
Right. So anyway, and
Those
also
people are crazy.
It's National Dr. Seuss Day.
I was just reading a story about Dr. Seuss where they've banned some of the books because he's sexist and racist, and
he's become politically incorrect.
I'm like, oh, good.
So it could also be your canceled day too.
Yeah, right.
But poor Dr. Seuss. Oh, and in celebration of Dr. Seuss, I thought I'd give you some Dr. Seuss riddles.
Ooh, I like riddles.
Okay, what's black and white and red all over?
I know that one. That's a newspaper.
No, it's Cat in the Hat book.
Oh!
What's the difference between a comma and Cat in the Hat?
A comma and a cat in the hat? I don't know.
Okay, one has the pause before the clause, and the other has the clause before the pause.
Good one.
Okay, no more of that.
Too hard.
I know. I'm starting to make James mad. He's starting to question my ability and cognitivity. No, I'm not running for president.
I mean,
Hey, we've had a wonderful reversal happen since last week. Because when I was, last week I didn't get to it, but I was going to mention that Mr. Potato Head is no longer going to be, because they've done away with Mr. Potato Head, and it's now just going to be Potato Head.
Yes.
And they said, going to go with a new slogan. Hasbro said that it would be, there's no wrong way to play. So they're going to do away with Mr. Potato Head. Well, this morning, the news release, Hasbro has now reversed that decision.
Really?
They say that there will be Mr. Spud, Mr. Potato Head, and said that he's not going anywhere.
Well, wasn't there a Mrs. Potato Head? So
Yeah.
what does it matter?
No, what they were saying is there was no longer going to be a Mr. and a Mrs.
Yeah,
Potato
there was
Head,
just going to be a gender neutral
just
potato
be a
head.
potato head.
Yeah.
And that you could put mustache on either one. You know,
So now so they said that, and now they're unsaying that.
they're unsaying that. They
Okay.
announced it. They said today that the Potato Head brand name and logo they're going to keep. They've confirmed. They in their news release they said, "I am proud to confirm Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head aren't going anywhere and will remain Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head."
I think that's okay. You have
See,
a
the
Mr. and
new
Mrs. Look,
package
is that
was-
a baby one?
Yeah, people
Yeah.
are laughing about the
See, the
potato
new
head
package,
thing, but
which
these are
that's
cute.
showing was
I don't
gonna-
care what you say. These new Mr. Potato Head
They are
dolls
cute.
Look at the baby one. It's got it's got leaves.
And as you see, they were doing away with Mr. on this one. They were just going
Yeah.
to be Potato Head, but now Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head will remain.
Well, if you look at that packaging, the branding is Potato Head, but
Yeah.
down at the bottom, the name of that particular figure is still Mr. Potato Head.
That's super confusing.
So
Huh.
I
I
think they're
mean-
cute. I'm gonna buy my nephew one of them.
I mean, what kid doesn't like to play with Mr. And let's just be honest about it. Whether you have a Mr. or a Mrs., the kids are gonna like transpose the the parts anyways. Like, it's funny. Put the girl wig on the guy potato. It'll be funny.
yeah,
So
just be like going to Walmart.
right. No, unless they have pajama pants for potato heads.
But I can remember, here's the old thing coming in again. I remember when you bought Mr. Potato Head, that, of course, when it first came out, you're supposed to use a potato. But when
Oh, that's right. It was
yeah,
just
and-
things you stuck on it, right?
But then they replaced that and they gave you a styrofoam Mr. Potato Head. So after you punched it for a while, it wouldn't stick because those holes became mammoth and nothing would stick. So they came out with this plastic bad boy. So
Gotcha. Well, Mr. Potato Head has evolved over the years
That's right.
then. Yes, for sure. All right, so John, I sent James this morning. This is a cruel joke. So you have dogs, right?
yes, I do.
Do your dogs, who are rescues and you love them very much,
Oh yeah.
do your dogs have to go to the groomer? Like, are they the kind of dogs that have to get, like, the haircut or
No.
trimmed or anything like that?
No, they're both short-haired dogs.
Okay.
and they groom themselves. Just look at the carpet.
Right.
Just falls out.
That sounds like my dog, too, Miss Marley. Well, we've all, over the years had a bad haircut, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Whether it be a dog or a human or whatever. So this dude takes to Twitter so he took so there is this dog, right? And isn't she cute? He took his sister's dog to PetSmart to get groomed. And look at her. She's absolutely gorgeous. And so when he went to pick her up, she looked like that.
Oh no. The bow doesn't even help.
Needless to say, he was livid. Took to social media. I mean, it's so sad. Look at that poor thing.
He can do.
Look at her.
They'll probably tell him what my dad used to tell me when he gave me my haircuts. Oh, it'll grow back.
I mean, when will that grow back?
I don't know. It'll
Like
be a
10
while.
years from now? So, needless to say, he took to Twitter and his message was, I'm quoting here, count your F-dashing days PetSmart. That's what he wrote. And he has gotten so many. He's gotten more than 500,000 likes and 94,000 retweets on that, and I'm guessing that PetSmart is going to pay dearly for whatever idiot did that at PetSmart is going to pay dearly for that, because that is not okay.
No, it's not.
Like, what are you thinking? That's awful.
So if you go to PetSmart, first thing you ask the groomer is this your first time?
Right? Well,
Damn it.
like James said, I was like, well, at PetSmart they should know better, and he's like, well, they probably got trained zero, so they probably just like
That's
walked
right.
in and were like,
Here we go.
yeah, here, cut this dog's hair.
Well, I would like to announce our new service on Main Street TV.
Right?
Jen will trim your dog's hair for free as long as you promise not to sue her and let us do it on the air.
Right. I mean, I don't know a thing about dog grooming, but I think I could figure it out better than that.
Ugh, that is awful.
I mean, it would have been better if they'd have pulled up the YouTube videos, like watch that for a minute before you start grooming the dog.
Wouldn't that make you nervous though, if you like walked into the dog groomer and the groomer was there with his phone up, like watching
YouTube
dog
videos.
grooming video? He's like, oh, so they use clippers.
Now, what kind of dog is this again? Oh no. Oh my goodness. And I have another story, and I thought, thinking outside of the box thinkers are like my favorite, It's like people that think outside the box are interesting, right? So there's this realtor down in Florida who listed this property in Tampa, and they were trying to bring some attention to this dilapidated property, and they wanted people, to get it out there. Well, it's gone absolutely viral, this listing, because it says, it's a 29-year-old realtor too, so kind of a newbie.
Gotcha.
Probably. He's selling a dilapidated bungalow in Zephyr Hills, and the listing says, it's a 2-bed, 1.5-bath home on almost an acre. There's a whole lot of work. Here it is, literally the worst house on the street, begins the listing. It's priced at $69,000. Have you ever watched HGTV and thought, I could do that? If so, pack up your tape measure, start Googling how to identify a load-bearing wall, because it's time to put your money where your mouth is. The roof leaks, the floor cracks, and there's a terrible draft. There's a large sunny window in the kitchen and absolutely nothing else. There's the house. It would make a dream space for someone interested in a bright reading space and ordering takeout for every meal. They say the new owners would have to be aware of a detached foundation. Not a detached garage, a foundation.
Okay.
If you need a place to stage your post-apocalyptic zombie movie, this is it.
That's true.
She went in, said interested shoppers shouldn't sweat the temperature controls either, as the bungalow has no HVAC system. And if you're not interested in crying yourself to sleep every night while you rehab this home, we might suggest you tearing it down and building a brand new one in its place. The neighbor would likely thank you. And it's gone like viral. She's gotten like tons and tons of new likes on her page and the whole 9 yards. So I thought that was pretty funny.
That's cool.
I mean, if you're going to have to sell a crap property, you may as well, make light of it.
And I would say from the looks of the house, you don't have to, you're going to have to be upfront about it, because very quickly they're going to say, whoa.
They're like,
Even when they pulled up to it, it looked abandoned, didn't it?
Well, I would say good news, if you did plan to demolish it, I think it would be pretty easy to knock it down.
I mean, you could just take a run and kick, and that'd probably be
It's
about
already detached from the foundation.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my goodness. But it is, these HGTV shows are a bit ridiculous, because they take properties like that, and in a half an hour, the next thing you know, it's like, oh.
They knock down one wall
You're
so
like-
they can open up the kitchen. Make it
Right.
an open living space.
It's an open concept now.
And then 27 minutes later,
Yeah.
it's on the market for $400,000.
That's exactly right. Oh, and I love these HGTV shows too, where they're like, it's this young couple and she's like pregnant or something, and they're like 25 years old, and they're like, and our budget is $1.8 million.
Yeah, right.
What?
Why don't you just build?
Because they want to live in downtown Chicago.
Yeah, you're just like, what? No, I guarantee you don't have $1.8 million to buy a house. Like, no.
Well, if that house we just looked at was in downtown Chicago, that's how
It
much it
probably
would cost.
be, yeah. Or in California. Oh, man.
Hey, I saw something in the news that triggered one of my pet peeves. Here was the headline.
Okay.
It was in USA Today
Okay.
online. It said, "You may soon be able to forget your passwords." I mean,
Way ahead of you on
newsflash,
that one,
I was
John.
going to say.
I've already forgot mine.
Haven't we already done that?
I mean, and here's the thing that really gets me on these passwords, of course. I can remember when my password was password, and I forgot that my password was password. And then, of course, let alone put a capital letter,
I know.
you know,
And a
Yeah.
sign.
yeah, number and a symbol.
I mean, our worst case back then was, is it 1 2 3 4 or 4 3 2 1? I can't remember.
Then of course, you know, then I've figured out that I just keep my passwords in my phone,
Yes.
so I can remember my passwords. And so I logged on to something the other day, and instead of entering my password, I had this big red banner showing, says you need to change your password. I mean,
Oh.
how many passwords, I mean, really, how many passwords do you have? Because then you put in a password that's easy to remember, and then you
Right.
get another big red banner or sign in front of you said
It says-
that it's not secure enough.
right.
So then they make these suggestions, you know, that you have at least 2 capital letters, 1 small letter, 3 symbols, you know, and a partridge in a pear tree.
Correct.
And then you submit this thing, and then it comes back and said, this password is already used. I mean, what?
It is mind-boggling. And then, oh, have you ever gotten so far as to put the password in and then you forgot what you put the password in
sure.
as?
Because what'll do it, you put it
Like,
in, you
what did I just
you
make
sit
it?
there and think of a password, you put it in, and it takes it, and the next thing it does is ask you to put it in again.
You're like, I forget what I just did.
What did I do? I have to start all over.
That's right. Oh, man.
Hey, I've got some stories about some good old family fun.
Okay, I like family fun. That sounds
Okay.
good.
This comes from Britain, the United Kingdom, and there was a call to their 911, which is 999, and they said there was a family in danger. So the park ranger went out to this place at North Yorkshire, I should say,
Okay.
and they found a family camping. The problem was they had set up their tent 24 inches from a cliff, a 280-foot drop-off. And that's where they were camping. I mean, and they were, you know, you
Did
think
they
to yourself,
know?
what possibly could go wrong? I mean, camping overnight 24 inches away from a 280-foot drop-off. One of the problems that they had is that particular place keeps falling in. I mean, it's
Oh,
the cliff.
my goodness.
The cliff keeps
Oh,
becoming
no.
another cliff. So anyway, and another thing about this is some good old American family fun, is that these people got a all-expense, all-inclusive trip from Jet2 Holidays, and they went to this all-inclusive resort, this Paradise Resort and Water Park.
Okay.
And then when they left, they claimed that all 4 of them had received food poisoning and refused to pay.
Okay.
So it went to court. and they presented their evidence that they had food poisoning, and then the resort's attorney produced the pictures that they posted on Facebook, date marked Facebook, during all the time they were there, and there was lots of happiness going
Little
on.
alcohol consumption, perhaps.
Oh yeah. So never mind, they did not get their, they had to pay.
Oh, I guess you'd be better off to say I drank the water.
Could be,
Maybe.
but they sure looked like they were having fun.
I mean, again, if you're going to do that kind of thing, be smart about it and don't post it all over social media so someone can access it.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Crazy stuff, I tell ya. Crazy, crazy stuff.
Whenever you're ready, I have more my usual food news. If you
Yes, I love food news.
want. Okay, Easter baskets. That's going to be coming up pretty quick.
I was
And-
going to ask you guys, what is your favorite Easter candy?
This year, sugar-free. I know. I like chocolate and peanut butter, so
Yeah, me too.
it's hard to get past that.
I think we already discussed we like the Reese's eggs the best.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. Go
But
ahead.
That's okay. Well, Peep, who makes the Peeps,
Yes.
they have come up with something that will sort of put your basket over the edge.
Okay.
They have come with a marshmallow scented Easter grass to put in your Easter basket.
Ooh, I
Yeah.
like that.
It's like the cherry on top,
It's brilliant.
Really. So that'll make it better. Also, Turkey Hills ice cream.
Yes.
They're coming up with what they call some layered sundae cups that they're going to be selling. That it's an upgrade. You can get cookie dough sundae cups now. They also have chocolate mint chip ice cream
Yes.
cups that you can buy, and all that thing comes in layers with vanilla ice cream.
Think that
Sounds
sounds
good.
fantastic.
And of course, for St. Patty's Day, Cold Stone Creamery has announced they will be coming out for St. Patty's Day Lucky Charms ice cream.
Ooh, that would be good.
Isn't it good?
With the marshmallows and all that.
Yeah.
I'm there. Gee, thanks. You're such a pal, John, enticing me to eat things to.
Well, I can't eat it anymore. So.
Yeah.
But another thing too, they've arrested a guy at the Mexican border this week. As a matter of fact, it was Sunday. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol pulled him over and arrested. He had 277 pounds of contraband in his pickup truck.
What was the contraband?
30 rolls of pork bologna.
What?
You're not allowed to bring Mexican bologna over the border, I guess. So anyway, he was
Sinner.
arrested and he's been fined $1,000 for having 30 rolls of bologna. He hid it in the back, under the seats and under the floor mats and everything.
Ew.
Can you imagine trying to hide 30 rolls of bologna?
Why?
I mean, when the guy stopped and you roll down the window and he starts talking to you, he knows there's something in there.
Right. When all the dogs from Mexico are following you across the border. Oh my gosh. I mean, I don't like American bologna. I don't know why anyone would want to eat,
Bologna, some people
So
really
is Mexican
like
bologna like the Mexican Coke?
I don't know. Is it different?
Maybe. Only one way to find out.
You're talking about Coca-Cola, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not the other kind of
Well,
Coke.
yeah, that too, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, yeah. Either or. You say potato, I say potato.
I don't know. I think we should smuggle some bologna. Find out.
Yeah, I like this story. This came from over, I think it's in Ireland. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure. But anyway, elderly lady, stopped into a pub to enjoy,
I like her.
and a guy that was in the pub grabbed her purse, and took off.
Bad guy.
Bad guy. This lady, who was, you know, tipping 80, kicked off her shoes and took out after him. She caught up with him before a half a block, threw him to the ground. He tried to hold on to the purse. She got the purse away from him, you know, gave him a couple slaps, and he ran away. And she was able
Fantastic.
to return her, you know, get her purse back. So whoever this criminal, and he has to turn in his man card. The
That's
funny part
right.
about this whole thing is that it has, in the story, it talked about people who know are wearing T-shirts saying "Never underestimate the power of my grandma," and it also says "Grandma power, kicking ass and knitting names" on the T-shirt.
I love it. We need one.
That's right. So there you go.
awesome.
There's your new gift for Grandma.
Good for her.
T-shirt.
That is fantastic. Bless her heart.
I love it.
Oh, I'd like to think that I would do that at 80, but I doubt it. I wouldn't even do it now. All right. Well, we do need to get out of here for the day. It's always fun talking with you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
It's always fun.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you to James for pushing all the right buttons over there and keeping us up and running. Before we get out of here, don't forget Jeff will be here from Callahan Hardware on Thursday, so we always look forward to his visits.
You betcha.
And a big reminder, the filling station, the store at Broadway in Penn and Wellston, Quick Stop, home of the Hoser's Pizza. If you haven't tried it yet, please make sure that you do, because it is fantastic. And
they
also
have chicken salad to die for too.
chicken salad. That's right. You did tell me about that.
That's really good.
Yeah. So you have to try that out. And also don't forget, if you're looking for a vehicle or have any questions about vehicles, give Mark Carmen or one of the gang a call. Scott Sheets, Chris Carmen out there. They will help you out. And you can visit their website at carmenjuicecars.com as well. And if you're looking for something in particular, no problem. They can help you out that way too. With the power of the internet, Mark is able to find a whole lot of vehicles for people.
You betcha.
Yep, that's right. Alrighty, have a great day, everyone. We appreciate you for tuning in, and we will be right back here tomorrow on Wednesday. So have a fantastic day, enjoy the sunshine, and we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.